not a personal failure or I would say a life sentence, but a system sending information. Yes. And what if the strength after 50 was not about pushing harder, but it's all about walking smarter, calmer, and more holistically? So today's conversation, I would say, challenges how we think about aging, fitness, and what it really means to feel capable in your body again. So, hey, dear listeners, welcome back to another powerful episode of Mind Meets Machine, where we explore how human potential evolves at the intersection of science, systems, and lived experience. And today I'm joined by lovely guest. Please welcome Dr. Hema Mutwing. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Avik. It's nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Amazing. So, thank you so much, Dr. Hema, for joining us today. And dear listeners, before we delve deep into our discussion today, I'll quickly love to introduce you with Dr. Hema. So, Dr. Hema is an aerospace engineer and the mental fitness coach who helps women over 50, my bad. So, over 50 move from chronic pain and overwhelm to strong, calm, and joyful active lives. So, she combines PhD level systems thinking with yoga therapy, strength training, mindset tools, and the stress management to translate complex science into simple, sustainable daily practices. And this episode is all about pain, resilience, and redesigning life after 50 without a burnout. So let's not take much time. Let's get into the discussion. Welcome to the show again.
Welcome. Thank you very much for having me here. And it's so nice to share information amongst this on this platform. It's such a great topic for mental health applications. So let's get into that.
Exactly, exactly. So, to start with, I mean, Dr. Hema, like you come from a deeply technical background and I would say deeply embodied one. I'm curious, what first made you realize that pain and overwhelm needed a system,
Right.
I would say that's a kind of system level solution and not just a kind of fitness fix?
Yeah, that's exactly it. It was a chasm that I felt as a person on the receiving end of training. I always felt that there was this chasm. People would dole out textbook solutions. You walk in the gym and it's cookie cutter, and you may not even see the person's face or what they're about, what their history is, or why did they walk in the first place. So I felt there was that chasm, and I also felt this demographic that I'm working with, I felt they were underserved. So I just created that system because I felt when I had that opportunity, having that graduate degree in engineering, I thought a great segue would be to apply the system method, system level analysis that I do. And it's almost like a part of my thinking process. So I think that demographic could really use that more hands-on, individualistic, sympathetic. You talked about technology and its application to this. And I find that's where we may be lagging is that the human in the loop. So Fitbits can only go so far is my thing because a lot of people will try to use that as technology to get rid of their pain solutions or, figure out what cookie cutter thing that they could do on the internet or even with a regular trainer. And that just doesn't work because as you just pointed out, that systems level of engineering analysis has to happen. Who, what, where, and why, right? Like how did you get here? And no one usually asks that question. So I think that's very important for people to understand that technology exists. It's here. It's our brain. And we use it all the time for other things. It's easy to, like if your TV doesn't work, what's the first thing you do? You go, what's not working? Is it volume? Is it picture? Is it the supplier of my Wi-Fi? Why don't we do that for a human being was my refrain. Why can't we take it as a systems level approach and see where is it not working? And how about some sympathy also for the human being involved and the human element, needed to be there. So that's my how I heal my clients is basically that sympathetic approach to that might be missing. And we know from, not to digress too far from our main topic, but we know from, cultural or what do we even call like mind oriented, mental health oriented topics like, kind of looking at the mind body connection, when people meditate and how much calmer they are, that kind of thing, that kind of data will feed in. Because if a person is telling a story to themselves, that will affect their body. So that's where I'm coming from with my healing process. So
Amazing. And I definitely love to ask you about the misconceptions also, like because there's a widespread belief that um, pain after 50 is just a kind of normal aging. So, from your experience, what does that belief, I mean, do real harm? I mean, if you
yeah,
can get like,
I mean, you summed it up so nicely in the sense that it's a belief. So, just like in my last statement where I said that a lot of the body kind of exhibits or manifests, if you want to use that word, what you're thinking. So, if you buy into a
mm,
pain situation as being a permanent or semi-permanent, or as you pointed out, the refrain that the public, kind of internet, whatever gives
yeah,
you is that pain. And even, sad to say, professionals also, maybe doctors, or only because, we want to be cognizant of the fact that doctors have a huge workload, and that may be just their way of dealing with it for themselves, to say, what's more important. Maybe this person is more important than that. I mean, just a kind of a way of dealing with the workload. So let's park that for a moment
mm,
and just go to the individual and say, how are they taking it? So they are kind of feeding that factoid of how the medical profession deals with workload into reality, and that those are two different things. They're just dealing with a reality of the situation of trying to categorize people so that they know what their pecking order is of dealing with caseload. But what we're dealing with is people buying into a belief system, which then mitigates their ability to solve it. So instead of looking for solutions, they are now kind of throwing up their hands and saying, well, I've got to live with getting up with pain. Now, one of my clients said
mm,
something amazing that I have to interject right here because this is telling. So, as you know, my clients are in this demographic of 50 and up, and some of them have getting up with pain issues. And one of my clients recently said, "Oh, after I've solved her problem," she said, "This is how regular people get up. I couldn't believe I got up without pain, and this is now I know how everybody else
mm,
gets up." So to me, that was very touching at many levels. One is, yay, I solved it, and B, she can now continue with her day without feeling like she's a victim of age or whatever circumstance or brought her to the pain zone. But B, also that she could now step out of that loop of I am older, so I have pain, which I want everyone who listens to this to realize that that's not a true statement. Just like it's like anything else, we're
mm,
fed. What is the common refrain? Oh, after 50 you can't learn a new dance, or after 60 you can't climb Mount Everest. Well, we have so many counter examples of all of this. People into their 80s who are doing amazing things. Just by saying that statement, you have now cut off what your human potential could be. Even if you don't buy into it today, you are besieged with pain issues. You're besieged with getting up and doing all the things are tasked for you. If that's your story, fine, let's start there. But I think one of the biggest things to say is, um, I can be better. I can be different. I just haven't figured it out yet. I haven't figured out the path there yet. But if you start there, then, start having, people don't have to attach themselves to one service provider also. I always tell all of my clients and any discovery calls I have, seek out people. There are a lot of people, experts out there, like your program shows, who have been solving these problems, some problems with, mental health, physical health. What are the stories you're telling yourself? How is technology interacting with your story? And
yeah,
that equation is what I think people need to just review every day or so.
very true, very truly said. And I have to say that so what's framed as inevitability is often a kind of, I would say, misunderstanding of how the body actually adapts. So
Yes.
yeah, so that is also something.
Yeah, the
Great.
body reflects your mental, your, thing, and then the mind-body connection is one of the most supreme, most not understood concepts. We still don't have a full grasp of it, and also how technology can help you to I say that because my clientele all have fitness wearables and all
Okay.
the gadgets, and yet a lot of them will tell me that I'm still not where I need to be. So the gadget is this great tool, but we can't let our mind run away with it. Just like any other app, it's a great tool. If you're organized, I always compared it to organization apps. Organization apps are great, but they're not going to get you out of bed. They're not going to walk over and drag you out of bed at 5 a.m. Even if you say, I want to be organized and, have my 5 a.m. get up and do my things and get in all my work before work starts. And everyone tells me they want to get their workouts in and blah, blah, blah. But it's not going to drag you to the gym. It's not going to give you the perfect thing for that day. For example, like I'll tell my clients,
Mm.
having January as a not going to the gym month is one of my new things. And people will think, well, that's crazy. January is when you want to start your New Year's resolutions. You got to fix your pain issues once and for all. Let's get into the gym and let's go for it, which is the opposite of what your body actually wants to do because you came out of the flurry of December and it becomes now, I should do this. So all the apps will say, get into the gym in January, start your habit. Let's get rid of pain. Let's get rid of that issue that you've been having, and let's start the day, that month, and the year right. Whereas I think what's actually needed when you have pain is to slow down your whole life, and just put the brakes on. And I always say to people, take January to actually take stock. What's working? What did you try before? Don't do the same dance. Let's try something new. Think about new ways to heal your situation or whatever it is that's causing, you not to be where you want to be. Whether that's pain, whether that's weight, whether that's not eating well, maybe you're nutritionally deplenished, you're not there, you don't have what you need. Figure out what you need, stress management, and then the body mind connection again tells you that once you take down your stress, your body will follow into tune with that.
Very true.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you talk about the root causes, like what deeper patterns, stress, nervous system overload, like
Yeah.
the lifestyle design,
Well,
right?
yeah,
So
basically. And really habit creating, I think one of the things I noticed that is not there in a lot of my clients when I
mm,
onboard them, like January is a big month as we just talked about. January, I have a lot of onboarding of new clients, and what we always look at, well, the first thing that comes to my mind is habits and habit coaching. So where the disconnect is with people and their fitness world is that they think that their problems will be solved if they have this workout, this eating plan, and whatever, fill in the blanks. Whereas
yeah,
it's not the thing, right? Exactly. You know where I'm going with this. Now, what it is exactly what what you're thinking is that it needs to be a mindset, habit based organization. Why am I doing all of this? And for some of them, it'll be because of my demographic of clients. Some of them will be, I want to play with my grandkids. I want to see them graduate from school. I want to be healthy when all of that happens. I want to be there for my family members. I want to have the energy to be that person that I always wanted to be for my family and do all the things. I want to be a community go-getter. I want to do all the stuff. Now, the energy that's giving you that energy, where's the engine? Right here, right? Pointing at yourself.
yeah,
Like the energy is right there. So what are you going to do today to make sure that's going to happen? So now that you have the why all set, the how and the what will follow in tune. But most people, they don't know why they're getting up and going to the gym at 5 a.m. And that's when it just breaks down. Because February comes, you've tried to do this dance that you don't know the steps for a month, and you're just tired. Nobody taught you, why am I doing this dance? Like, what is really at the heart of this? But what if they sat down and said, I want to have energy to do all the things. I want to, be that go-getter at work. I want to be there for my family, and I want to be a community person, for supporter, a community supporter, and I want to
Yeah.
inspire more people. If you say that to yourself, you get up at 5 and you go, "Why am I doing this?" Oh, I know. My, child or my, neighbor needs the support, and I know I'm going to be there for them today. So, yeah, I'm going. I'm going to go do my thing. Am I going to do my gratitude practice? No, I don't have time. Yes, you do, because if you don't, you are not healthy enough for your neighbor or whoever it is you're
Yeah.
supporting in your life. So it's the why that I find that I have to get into my clients, is basically remind them of why they're doing this. And then the gratitude practice every day helps them reset that, because in the morning is the worst time, right? You just have so many things competing for your attention. So they get up, they will do a 5-minute breathing and gratitude practice, saying, grateful for all the things in my, day. They will write it out, like 3 things. And then
Mm.
they'll say, I'm doing this for that. I'm grateful for my family, and I need to be healthy for them. So let me get my act together and be the healthiest person. Why am I walking at lunch? So that I can be there for my, for myself and my family. But basically you have to know why you're doing something. So that's constantly missing in a lot of those, gym escapades that happen in January, the big rush of fitness equipment, fitness gear, fitness, this and that, just to get that fitness in. But then by March, why does it fall? Because the first thing is not the gym membership. The first thing
Mm.
is sit down with a clean piece of paper and write down what is really important to you in your life. Why do you want to lose those pounds? Like, what is the thing that makes you feel like that's got to be something that's got to happen? Why is that your
Yeah.
your thing? And then once I mean, if you ask people who have climbed, Mount Everest, let's say, or even Kilimanjaro or something, they'll tell you what their why is, because once you get past base camp and you don't have a why, you're going to be in trouble. So you got to remember your why when push comes to shove. Why are you doing this? And I'm sure you, with, your work, you've probably had days where it's tough. When it's tough is when your why really kicks in.
Mm.
Everybody does. Anybody who wants to move the needle in the world, which is all of us, we want to move that needle. But some days that needle is really sticking. And the only way you can force yourself to sit at the computer or do the things we all do is if you say, helping one more person to get rid of pain, or helping the world understand the mental health thing like you are doing equation, is going to make me feel better so that I can get the energy to do it again tomorrow. And B, I'm going to make one more person help healthy enough so that they can tell 2 friends. And this is going to be a movement, like your podcast and all your work and my work with the pain issues. This is a movement. We will
Yep.
feel like we're one person, but it is a movement, because if I help one person today, I know that she's already told her friends. And so that's 5 more people that if they come to pain, they know I don't have to live with this. It doesn't have to be about me. Can go on the internet and find pain-free solutions. And we have so many providers in the world. There's so many ways to get to this. There's no one size fits all. Even in pain solutions, it's not just my way. There's a lot of people who are involved in this new dynamic where it's not your regular menu of chiropractors, physiotherapists, and
Mm.
RMPs. And that's actually what started me in this, is because I had knee pain from doing marathons, and that was my stress buster. And I didn't really prepare really well. I just wanted to get rid of stress. So I did
Yeah.
long distance running, and I got into pain issues. And then I started going into this roller coaster of chiros and physios and RMTs, and nobody had the answer, but they would see me appointment after appointment. And I said, one day when I get my own act together and I can start a business. So after many years of that, I put a kibosh on it, rebuilt myself my own way. I no longer have knee pain. This was like 20 years ago. And then I started my business saying I can do this for other people, because I got rid of my own pain issues, not seeing specialist after specialist after specialist, but by just doing some common sense thing. I saw the body as a system. And then I said, well, what muscle isn't firing? Like, you don't have pain means all the muscles are getting together with a nice party.
Mm,
They're doing their dance. Pain
yeah,
means some guy went on strike. But why did he go on strike that day? Why is that happening? What is the neural network connection that's making that?
yeah,
So the first thing is obviously not that. The first thing is I knew there was a better way. So
definitely.
did this analysis, system analysis of the body, which is an engineering analysis of the body. And I found that there are ways of testing muscles and body, which now everyone knows about. But, 20, 25 years ago, I was the only one who had discovered this. But now everybody knows. It's a good thing. Everyone should know that there are ways of testing the body to find out what muscle is not firing, and then make a rehab program for yourself in again a system engineering way. If something's not working, you can't hammer it and say work. That doesn't work. That doesn't go, but you've got to figure out which system needs to be fed some energy, or supporting muscles need to be activated. How does it all work? So anatomy is very important at that point, and your mind has to say to you, there is another way, find it and try to incorporate that into your day. And don't aggravate it by saying, I can't do this. Let's just do it anyway, which is what people do. They think weakness is not lifting weights if the muscle is hurting. But that's the pain and the gain thing, that there is a fine line for that. For an average person who's a recreational, I wouldn't call athlete, but a person who's recreationally trying to just keep themselves fit, they're not competing for the Olympics, they're not running any races that their life depends on, their business depends on. But if they just want to be healthy, it's no pain, no gain is not for them. And that's unfortunately a saying that has come in. Oh, what's wrong with you? You're not doing squats anymore. It's because your knee hurts. What's with you? You're just being a baby. But the point is, you've got to respect the body, because that if you start that drama on your body, it's going to say, I hate you. What are you doing to me? I'm in pain.
Exactly.
And you're not respecting that. So you got to respect it to some point, and then take some steps in a system engineering way to make sure your muscles fire properly, and let them be nice to your muscles, But unfortunately, with the slogans, which came out of the Olympics, or it came
Yeah,
out of competition, competitive sports, maybe football, for example, or all the $1 trillion industries, hockey, football, you name it, cricket, all the things, so all the competitive ones where the dollar sign is on the balance. Well, that's a different thing altogether, which is why I don't treat competitive athletes. I really specialize on the person on the street. And for them, you've got to respect the body. Pain is to be respected, because it's a sign that their body's trying to knock on your door and tell you either this is a mental health issue that's showing up in pain, or you've really got some muscle imbalance, or you've got something else going on that you better just stop and look at, and then cross off things that are obvious. So, see a person who can do some muscle testing first, and also try to incorporate some mental health practices at the same time. Now, those two should come together. You can't just treat the body, you have to treat the mind also, and say, I think you need some TLC. So the
yeah,
go-getters does, we really need to stop and analyze all of that. So that's quite, a lot of mouthful for basically, to take care of yourself.
exactly, exactly. And like quickly, I definitely love to ask you, like, what happens is many people they start very strong, right, and then they fall off, right? And how can women over 50 build that consistency without turning the self care into another source of pressure?
Yeah. Oh, this is a really good point that you've just
Yeah,
made. And that is
right.
that um, you are motivated by a certain thing. So just as I said, your why is really important. So you include the why in your day, and every morning you have to review that why, and have a mental health practice also. Like you said, you just have to try to do things like take a realistic look at your schedule.
Yeah.
This is where technology kicks in. I love today's technology because you can, and this I encourage everyone to do this who has a problem with time, like who doesn't, like raise your hand. But the thing is, you can put all the things you want to do in your timetable in Google Calendar. All the things. Just put like Google Calendar, another calendar, doesn't matter. I'm not advocating
Mhm.
one over the other, but just put it into the calendar and take a hard look at it. I just did this
Yeah.
recently for 26, and I'm sure anybody who's got 10 things on the go, look, I'm speaking to the choir here, I'm sure. So you put it into Google Calendar and then you have a realistic look. Okay, what time do I have left for my workouts, for planning my weekly nutrition plan, for doing mental health activities? That's got to be a thing. It's a three-pronged system. You can't just say, I'm going to work out. Where's the mental health downtime? What are you doing for yourself?
Yeah.
Is there an instrument you like playing? Well, then make time for it. Is there just a 10-minute walk outside that you like doing? Then make time for it. So then put those into your calendar. And if you have a problem with scheduling, now is when technology will help you, because there are apps where all you have to do is dump your whole schedule into the app. Like, take a picture of it, dump it into the AI app, and
Mm.
say, what is your idea about me trying to put in a 10-minute walk in my day? Tell me where, and it'll find ways to do that. And that's where you can use technology, is when you're stuck for time and you want to do more, more mental health practices, you want to do more workouts, or you want to fit something in, just put it into the scheduler and it will tell you how to put that in. Now, the answer to your question is people feel the stress of having to do. So I say start there and take a day off where you're not doing any workouts or anything. And just what you're going to do that day is have a conversation with yourself, have tea with yourself. And you're going to take a look at that. And this is something we don't do. We run, right? We want to get in, do the thing, and get out and get on with our life. And, that's what we do. But why are we doing it? We're doing it, again, as I said, we're trying to move the needle somewhere in the world. And we're all trying to make a difference and use our practices and our techniques to make that change. But so the person sees this and goes, I got to pile in more stuff. But the answer might be, some things may have to drop. Now, I did this in 26, so I can talk from personal experience, because I wanted a few things to accomplish this year. I have a book coming out, all of the rest. So I said, what things have to fall off? And unfortunately, you have to make some hard decisions. To me, my mental and physical health are the most important thing, because if there's no me, there's nothing. I can't do the things I want to do. I can't help the next guy. I can't help my clients. I can't help my family. I can't help the community. And I can't help move that needle like I want to do. So if you can't fix the things that make you work, then you're going to have a problem doing the things you want to do. So you've got to spend, just like you take your car in for a check, you've got to do the daily check. We're a little more complicated than a car. So we got to do the daily check-ins and then be grateful. That actually feeds into your self-worth. So I always tell my clients that I think in the morning, I suggest that they do a 3-pronged gratitude. It takes 5 minutes, and you sit down and you go, what are the 3 things that I'm grateful for? And the second thing that people should answer is, what are the 3 things that I could do today to make today an amazing day? And those 2 things set the mood for the day, because now you realize your why. Like I said, that's really more important than getting the right workout or the right, booster protein juice or whatever it is. That's the thing of the day. So the most important thing for people to do is to do that gratitude practice. Like, they're grateful for 3 things, whatever it is. And then what is it that'll make that day the best day, the most amazing day for them? And if they can hit those 3, and usually people who are go-getters will run out of, like, they'll say, only 3? I can't pick. And that's where, the mirror is being held up to your face and going, well, if you've got more than 3, this might be, your thing. You may want to take a look at that and say, something's got to fall off. You can't do everything all the time, every single day.
Right. Yeah.
So your scheduling has to maybe take a modification. The other thing about I want to, chime in with the want need to do because that's where this is going. I need to do workouts. I need to do planning for my nutrition. I need to do. Well, the needs to do may not be realistic. Maybe your neighbor is planning to go on a hike and they're training 7 days a week. But if you see that and go, I've got to train 7 days a week to be as fit, then you're going down the wrong trail. For you, it's possible that going down sizing your workouts might be better. And I know this sounds really against philosophy, but it actually works because in 2026, our brain and body is bombarded with such neurological overdrive with this, technology, which we are using for good, but sometimes it can get away from you, binge watching TV, sometimes because you're sad or, at the drop of a hat, you don't even have to drive anywhere. You can get food delivered to your door. So all of these, while they're good for good purposes, what they might do is just overload your neural circuits. And so with that, I'm advocating in 2026 that people actually do fewer workouts. But the flip side of that is where you save on going to do physical workouts, you do more walks outside. Think about these practices of sitting with a piece of paper and people are having problems meditating. Don't do that. Take a piece of paper with your hand, which is why I say don't open a Google Doc to do this. Your hand is neurologically connected to your head, your brain.
Right.
So when you write with a pen and you're on paper, you've absorbed that information more. And this is a funny thing because we know students scroll through information by ebooks, EPUBs, whatever it is, eDocs. But how much do they remember? Their eyes are scrolling.
Yeah.
In previous times, we're not going to go to the primitive time where we actually wrote down everything from this blackboard.
Yes.
That's a little further back. But here's what I advocate for current 2026 students is that they scroll through. I'm not saying don't scroll. You can't go buy a book every time. So scroll through, but pause, set a timer on your phone. Everyone's got one for 5 minutes. And then write down what did you learn from that scrolling. And I bet you that person's going to get A+ on their test or whatever it is, because now they've actually remembered what they do. In my classes, I teach Indian spiritual philosophy 1 night a week for some people. And in my classes, one of the things I do is we have them read a paragraph to themselves. I know everyone can read, so we don't have to read out loud. But I don't even teach specifically. I say, what is your takeaway from that paragraph? So right now we're reading some very uplifting pieces. And one of the things I advocate is don't tell me what you think I want to hear. I want to know what you're going to apply this to
Right.
tomorrow. What interaction, what work situation, what life situation, what is
Very
changing,
true.
So that's basically how to answer that question. Don't go into neurological overdrive by, I have to do this. I have to do a workout. I don't have time. If you don't have time, this is how I answer that. The bottom line is if you don't have time to do that workout, then don't. Sit down calmly with a cup of tea somewhere in your day and don't have any gadgets. That's your workout for today. And I bet you
Very.
that'll go further than, anything.
I totally agree. Because during our times also from the childhood, like we used to write, and
Mm,
for us also, like for me as well, like in India, we are habituated to have the copy,
yes.
and we used to just write whatever we have learned. Right, because I mean, obviously in the beginning also we do not I do not used to believe that, but yes, while I started I mean early morning, I used to wake up with my mother, and I used to study before going to school, and
Yes.
then whatever I study I have to write, because she made me habit that you have to write, and then only you will remember whatever you do it. And it actually works. I mean, even now also, it has become a kind of picture perfect thing. Whatever I'll see, if I read it, fine, I'll remember. But if I write, I'll never forget. I can even say like in which line what things I have written, because my brain is actually capturing that thing.
Yeah.
That
You got
is something, yes.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I can't stress this enough because if you want to, if listeners are still having problems believing this, let me give you a little exercise to try. Next time you're going shopping for stuff, you know how you write a note on your phone. I know everyone does it. And then you've got the 10 things on your phone and you go into the store and you open up your phone and there, okay, next time I
Mm.
challenge everyone listening to take a piece of paper, write those 10 things and just don't look at it. Stick it in your pocket. Go to the store and see how many you can remember
Yes.
without opening the paper.
Yeah.
And I do this
Definitely.
every single time. I write down my things on a scrap piece
Yeah.
of paper. I put it in my purse, and then I know I don't have to because by the time I get there, I've remembered. Oh yeah, and I can even see the writing on the paper. Like I could just
Yes.
comes back to me. So and then just wanting to comment on your, the upbringing, the Indian thing. And I know even though I grew up in Canada, I grew up with an Indian mother who put all of those Indian things into my upbringing. And so morning you get up, you do prayers and you do your homework. So you don't stay up late. If
Yeah.
you have finished yeah, exactly. You do your homework in the morning and your mind is so fresh. I can't believe
Yes.
how much more I used to get stuff that I was stuck on. And she'd say, it's time to go to bed. And
Mm.
then I would get up in the morning she gave us a slot to finish the homework and I would finish it so much faster than the night before.
Mm.
Like I was thinking about this
Yeah.
is taking forever and it's taking, and I'm stuck. But in the morning I would get up. I know the answer to this. And I was like, and it would be amazing.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right. So the brain is much more fresh. It's had the sleep. And then of course doing the mental practice of prayers and I say, prayers don't have to be formal. A gratitude practice is a prayer because you're just grateful for all the things you've got that are going on. And you've got to find something like three things that are going well for you and just getting into that positive. What you just said was basically you're in a positive mindset
Mm.
and the neurological connection between the pen, the hand and the paper,
Yes.
it can't be beat. I tried this in my class. This is why I alluded to my class is because my class has a demographic of younger people and one of them was using the computer and I said, one day I'd like you to write this down at hand and pen and paper and tell me if it makes a difference. Just try this experiment. And the next day she came and said, I can't believe how much more I understand this material just by
Yeah.
taking notes while you were talking. So, it's a good challenge to do it yourself. If it does work for you, that's great. You found a new way to learn, you know.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
technology can help, but we've got to know
Yeah.
where, the dog wagging the tail or the tail wagging the dog, which one is it?
Lovely. It's a great discussion. And quickly, I'll have to ask you, like, where can listeners find you if they want to learn more about your work, want to connect with you? So, how can?
Yeah, getshanti.com is my website, and that's the great place to find everything and contact me on that site. It's perfect.
Amazing. So, dear listeners, what I'll do is I'll put all the links and details into the show notes for your easy reference, and you can easily reach out to Dr. Hema. And thank you so much for joining on Mind Meets Machine. And
Thank you.
I'd say, yeah, and dear listeners, I would love to say that if today's conversation actually resonated with you and the discussions that we had about waking up in the morning, writing down, definitely try it. You'll love it. I would say, because I totally agree with her, because even I went through the situation from my childhood and it actually paying me off. It's really a good habit. And take a moment to reflect on how you are designing your body, your stress, your daily habits, daily systems, not just for the survival. Just enjoy it, just for the joy. So uh, until next time, this is your host Avik, and this is Mind Meets Machine. Stay grounded and remember that the strength can be rebuilt at any stage of life. So thank you so much.